So I would like to request Samayam Shetty to take over the next program further.
Thank you, sir. A very hearty evening to one and all present here. I, Samyam Shetty, welcome you on behalf of the School of Business and Management to today's leadership talk. I would also like to welcome Dr. Father Josie P. George, our director, Dr. Father Arun Anthony, our academic coordinator, Dr. Sumitra Binu, head of Department for Business and Analytics, Dr. Parameshwar S., program coordinator of the BBA Business Analytics, and all our faculty members and students. Today's leadership talk by Mr. Aniruddha Ganguly will help us gain insight about building trust and respect. Now, I request Kadambari to please take over and introduce our respected guest. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all present here. Today, I am here to tell us about today's speaker. So, he is an engineer, an MBA. He has a certificate in evidence-based coaching. I'm so sorry, just give me a second. Sorry. He has a certificate in evidence. So sorry for that. So sorry. He is an engineer, an MBA. He has a certificate in evidence-based coaching from Fielding Graduate University of Santa Barbara, USA. He is an ICF Associated Certificate Coach. He is an MBTI Certified Practitioner, and he is a Social and Emotional Intelligence Certified Coach. He is none other than a respectable speaker for the day, Dr. Aniruddha Ganguly. Dr. Aniruddha comes with over 40 years of professional experience and around 62 years of experience in consulting practices. He has experience in heading human resource management function in cooperation with over 10,000 employees from Asia to Europe to North America, which not only highlights his multicultural sensitivity, but also makes him uniquely result-oriented and effective, which makes him a perfect speaker for today's topic, that is trust and respect. Now I would kindly request Dr. Aniruddha to please enlighten us.
Thank you, Anushka, for the introduction. Is it possible to share screen? I've got a presentation and then I can go ahead.
Yes, sir, you can share the screen.
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Thank you. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I hope you can see me clearly and hear me clearly. I'm sure I have to imagine, of course, that there are a lot of students who have logged in and hearing this conversation and seeing this conversation. The topic here is how to build trust and respect. This is a burning issue today, especially in view of what has happened in the recent past with the pandemic. This pandemic has created an environment where workers and employees have been compelled to work from distant locations, and leaders are in a very unfamiliar situation of not being able to meet them in the corridor, meet them in their cabin, or meet them in their meeting rooms. They are reconciled to the fact that they have to communicate and connect with their team members remotely. Obviously, this has brought about a challenge in terms of what we call the trust factor. This apart from the pandemic situation that we are going through, it has always been a hot topic of leadership, that of building trust and respect. And it has been a continuous process globally to find out which companies, which individuals, who are doing very well in terms of the trust factor. And I will go to the next slide just to show you a survey which was done by Morning Consult, a brand intelligence, in as recently as March 2021, and they ranked companies in terms of the trust factor. How trustworthy are these companies according to consumers, large number of consumers globally? And you can see this ranking which is there, which is very interesting. Google, of course, is number one here. We always Google everything, and we have a lot of trust in what Google throws up for us and all the rest of it. And you will also notice that many such surveys are done around the world, and you need to make a considered decision as to which one you would agree with, which one you would go with, and which one you would believe in. So this is one cut in terms of the most trusted firms globally. A second cut is this one, another survey which was done in April 2021 by the CEO magazine. And here also you see a very interesting collection of companies which are considered most trustworthy worldwide. Why I am saying this is because you are BBA students, most of you are BBA students. Most of what I will be talking about will be in the context of business. However, I will throw in some other aspects, some personal aspects, some life aspects into the subject of trust and respect. So that is why I thought that, first of all, let you know that a lot of research goes on, a lot of surveys goes on worldwide in terms of the trust factor of companies. I'll go to the next slide. This slide talks about the interconnection, the interrelatedness of respect and trust. Obviously, as we know, you respect someone who you trust, and you trust someone who you respect, and so on and so forth. So in the language of data science, trust and respect are very tightly correlated. The other thing that I would like to mention here is that it takes a long time, it takes hard work to build trust, but takes a moment to lose trust. So just keep that in mind, that while you try to build trust, it takes a moment, it takes a small little mistake to lose all the trust. And that it happens with individuals, it happens with companies. Now, we talk about trust and we talk about what it does to organizations. Obviously, the other thing which comes up is that, again, a lot of surveys have been done in terms of the significance of trust in companies. And PwC reported that more than half of the CEOs think that a lack of trust is a threat to their organization's growth. Similarly, research also says that 86% employees believe that they are more productive if they like their boss. Now, when you say you like your boss, it means that the boss respects and trusts you. Now, compared to people with at low trust companies, people at high trust companies report 74% less stress, 106% more energy at work, and so on and so forth. Basically, in an environment of trust, you can be yourself. I'll repeat, in an environment of trust, you can be yourself. And beyond that, you can be the best version of yourself when you are in an environment of trust. You will notice that if you have friends, very close friends, they are friends because there is a tacit trust amongst you, and you can be yourself amongst friends. You can be honest, you can be authentic, you can be vulnerable amongst friends. And similar is the case where a company arranges for a high trust environment, and you can be yourself there. Okay. Now, the next point that I would like to mention, and before going to that slide, I would like to say that it is good to expect a whole lot from your friends, from your parents, from your siblings, from your bosses, from your team members in terms of trust and respect. You might always ask that they should trust me, they should respect me, but it all starts with you. And I would like to quote Mahatma Gandhi, inevitably, and this is an oft repeated quote: "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." So the fundamental question that I would like to ask each one of you is, do you trust yourself? Do you respect yourself? That is the starting point. Are you trusting of others? Are you respectful of others? And that is the case with everybody, including me. So let me take you to a very simple graphic. And this graphic is asking those two key questions. Are you respectful most of the time? Are you trustworthy most of the time? These are like the two headlights of your life's car that you drive. These headlights help you to keep on course. Now this is a busy slide, sorry for this. I would not take you through all the points in this slide, but basically what I would like to mention here is that respecting people at the workplace requires treating people with courtesy, with politeness and kindness. That's the fundamental. Apart from that, what we require is for providing the opportunity for colleagues to freely express their opinions and ideas. And you might notice that there is a very simple thing that we always do in meetings, is that do express your opinions and ideas, irrespective of the fact that you may consider it to be too obvious or too silly. Don't hold yourself back, express your views. That creates an environment of trust and respect. There is also the next thing that you need to think about is the ability to listen. Sadly, in the corporate world where I've been for a long, long time, we have noticed a reduction in the ability to listen as people move up the ladder. And there is research which proves that. It says that as you move up the ladder, you are so busy telling people, instructing people, that you lose the ability to listen. That is something which one has to get back and bring back. Listening to others with respect is something which is extremely important, and it is trainable. If one can be trained on it, one can recover the ability to listen, and one can also lose the bad habit of talking and not listening. After all, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. The next is about acknowledging other people's ideas. It is important to respect and acknowledge other people's ideas and work on those ideas. This also creates an environment of trust. Leaders do not necessarily have all the best ideas in the world. Next is about body language. Now, you might feel that you are being very polite, you are being very respectful, but what does your body language say? Is it intimidating? What does your tone of voice say? What is the choice of language that you use? What is the expression on your face? All these things are noticed by the person on the other side. That person not only hears what you are saying, but person also sees in the way you are saying it. So it's important to have consciousness of that part of yourself, which is a physical part. Then there is the other important issue is that not only should you be fair, but you should also appear to be fair. It is not always sufficient to be just fair. It is also important to be able to make it visible to the people around you that you are being fair and you are actually making an effort to ensure that people see that you are being fair. Both are required. If you don't treat people fairly, if one person is differentiated against the other person, and for no good reason, it creates a sense of disrespect. Inclusiveness in all kinds of activities also brings about this whole sense of respect for people, giving equal opportunity to people to the extent possible. Finally, offering praise frequently to the deserving people for the good work done is very important. I have seen in my corporate life that people have been, generally speaking, people have been not so generous in praising people. They would think that, oh, yes, I think people understand that I am happy with the work being done. But it's important to praise, and praise in public. Praise in public, but directly for the person. Do it spontaneously, and that really helps. That really creates a sense of respect and environment of respect in the team and in the organization. Then comes the other one, which is another cut in terms of the how to build trust. And there are three issues about this. One is the issue of the ability to foster positive relationships. And next is the issue of possessing good judgment and expertise. And third is the issue of demonstrating consistency. I will take the second one first. You know, ability to earn respect, ability to earn trust comes from the fundamental issue of developing competence, developing judgment, developing the right expertise. People will respect you, people will trust you when you have this fundamental thing about your own ability. And how is that manifested? It is manifested by using good judgment and making decisions, others trusting you for your ideas and opinions, others seeking your opinions, and so on and so forth. Now, this being the first step, the next step would be fostering positive relationships, where, as I said earlier, giving respect to people, being humble, having that emotional connect with people, showing genuine concern for people around you, generating cooperative environment, resolving conflicts. This creates a positive relationship. And the third one is demonstrating consistency. What you say is what you will do. Walk the talk. Irrespective of even the small little promise that you make sure that you meet that promise. To the extent that if you have said that you are going to reach a particular place at 10 o'clock in the morning, make sure that you are there and not give the excuse, oh, there was a traffic jam and there was this or there was that. It's important to keep your promise. And this has to be done consistently. This has to be done repeated. And that is how slowly trust builds up, respect builds up. Now, another cut of building trust with employees. Some of it has already been discussed, so I will not get into those areas to avoid repeating myself. Remember, building trust takes hard work. It is not easy. It takes an enormous amount of hard work to build trust. As I said earlier, just as building trust takes hard work, losing trust, is in a moment. One mistake and you lose all the trust that you have. Be honest and supportive. We mentioned about ability to listen actively. So be quiet sometimes. Be consistent. We spoke about it. You need to model the behavior you seek. We spoke about that earlier when we said that it all starts with you. If you are trustworthy, if you are the person who earns trust, earns respect, then you can expect the similar kind of attitude and approach from somebody around you. Finally, very important is build in accountability. Just as you have trust in people, just as you have respect for people, please do not forget that accountability continues to remain extremely strong. The more you trust somebody, the more accountable you make that other person. Now, there's an interesting one, because one might say that, okay, I would trust people, I would respect people, and therefore I would have a very fuzzy kind of a culture where people can do whatever they want to do because I trust people, I respect people. That's not the point. The point of a high-performing team is that you have high trust, high respect, as well as high accountability. This is very important. So again, a whole lot of stuff here in terms of another cut of building trust. And much of it has been discussed earlier. What I have done is I have attempted to provide you multiple cuts in terms of the kind of research which has gone in the last 30, 40 years on the subject of trust and respect. Huge amount of research has gone in, and people have come up with different cuts in terms of what works to develop trust, what works to develop respect. So I will I will go through this slide very quickly, except for the last point, lead from within. This is a very powerful one. Successful leaders understand the importance of trust and take it seriously. They make it a daily habit to keep their words and actions trustworthy. Leading from within is very, very crucial. Sincerity and authenticity are extremely crucial. Why I say this is also because of the fact the idea is not to pretend to trust people, not to pretend to respect people. The idea is to do it from the bottom of your heart. It should become your second nature. And that can happen through practice. Practice, practice, and practice. Now I'll come to something which is very, very fundamental to human behavior. And that's about the neuroscience of trust. There is a hormone called oxytocin. And this is a hormone which gets generated in the hypothalamus in the brain based on certain stimuli, external stimuli which come in. And this particular hormone regulates pro-social behavior, including trust. Now, this has been researched a lot. There's a gentleman, Dr. Paul Zak. He has done a huge amount of research and for over 10 years across the world. And not only has he done that research in the urban areas of the world, he has even gone to the deep jungles in the tribal areas in South America. And he has experimented with people there to find out what is it that boosts oxytocin level and fosters trust. This is so universal. And it's a very interesting study which was done by him. And he just says these following 8 things, that if you do these following 8 things, it actually boosts oxytocin hormone generation in the brain and fosters trust. And when we look at these things, we say, oh yeah, it's very familiar, right? Recognize excellence. Recognition of good effort. Recognition of great work. And recognition of the great work. And when I said earlier also, when it's tangible, the recognition is unexpected and spontaneous. Recognition is personal and recognition is public. That creates huge impact. And that really fosters a lot of trust. How can we be more generous and more honest and more authentic in recognizing excellence around us? And I'm just reminded of J.R.D. Tata. He was famous for his body language. He was not a big man. He was a small, lean man, but his body language exuded that the sense of empathy and appreciation for everybody. I remember somebody telling me who had worked with J.R.D. very closely that he was on that famous floor in Bombay House where J.R.D.'s office was there. And one day he was on that floor and J.R.D. was passing by and he just patted him on the back and went off without saying a word. And that itself was a powerful recognition of the great work that he had just recently done and everybody was talking about. He didn't have to waste a lot of words on him. He didn't have to talk to him. Just one pat on the back was a great thing. That's the power of leadership. And that is the kind of credibility J.R.D. had created for himself. That huge sense of trust and respect that he had from amongst all the people, that just one pat was more than enough. And it was remembered by this gentleman for many, many years. Induce challenge stress. This is interesting. When you have a sense of respect and trust with people. We spoke about accountability, and this is something to do with that. If you give people easy tasks to do, people get quickly bored, disenchanted, and disengaged. It is important to give people achievable job, but difficult enough for it to be interesting enough. That's the nature of human beings. We don't want to do jobs which are below our level of ability. We would get quickly bored. So we must be given jobs which are slightly above our level of ability, which challenges us a little bit, but we also know that we can achieve that job. That makes it interesting. That makes make people engaged. And that is what which generates oxytocin and adrenocorticotropic. Third, give people discretion in how they do their work. Now, this is part of andragogy, and I have learned many of these things from my coaching program of understanding psychology, of human psychology. So andragogy is different from pedagogy. So andragogy is about learning by the adults. Pedagogy is learning by children and youth. And there is a big difference between the two methods of learning. Adults love to learn when they have control of that learning, when they have a choice of that learning. In this case, it is the same thing which is being mentioned here, this and the next one, which is enable job crafting. Allow people to have the discretion of how they will do their work. Don't be very prescriptive in what you are trying to ask them to accomplish. Don't tell them step 1, step 2, turn right, turn left, go up, go down. If they have the ability, if they're adequately trained, allow them the freedom to do their work the way they want to do it. And many people, unfortunately, micromanage, and that creates frustration. And then the team feels that the leader does not have faith in us. Let me do my own way. And in this autonomy also creates opportunity for innovation. Somebody can do it in 3 steps, and very, very different 3 steps. Somebody can do it in 25 steps. Now, if you are giving each step and prescribing them, you are actually robbing the team of innovation and freedom, as well as you're robbing the team of a sense of trust and respect. Enable job crafting is actually a similar way. If an employee is given a choice of a particular project, it could be a very, very, and I have many examples in my own corporate world where I've seen employees choosing projects to do which are totally unrelated to their qualification and experience, and they've done a great job in those projects. So allow that opportunity to be given to employees to volunteer for such projects. But at the same time, for both these cases, that is giving people discretion in how they do their work and enable job crafting, do not forget about accountability. Make it clear to the team members that they're accountable. Now, as a team member, now I'll just turn the view around. As a team member, it is important that while I enjoy the discretion on how I work, and I also have the discretion of crafting my job, I must also remember that I'm accountable for my performance. The accountability does not go away, whether it is a leader or whether it's a team member. All of you are very young in the in life. You are going to embark upon your career in future. But even at your workplace, in your academic journey, it is important to make sure that while you would want freedom to do what you want to do, still accountability continues to remain. That you are accountable to your performance, academic performance, accountable to your overall performance. This is absolutely essential. And remember, this is not only the case in the work front, it is the case in the personal front as well. At home, with your friends, remaining accountable is very important. If I have said that I want to spend my time with my son or with my brother or with my sister, I better do that, and I deliver on that. And I don't give excuse tomorrow of not doing it. If I say that I'm going to stop smoking, I better remember it and actually deliver on that. It is, it is useless to go on making promises and breaking promises. That doesn't create trust or respect. Share information broadly. It is important for, for leaders to share information in such a way that employees are able to visualize the direction in which the company is going, the challenges the company is facing. Sometimes companies are shy of telling employees about the challenges that they face. It is important that they share the challenges also with employees, because the employees then can appreciate the position of the company. Similarly, it is important, I'm saying it is important also for an employee, for a student, for anybody to share information about himself or herself. Being vulnerable is very important. And this is the last point here, but they're related. It is important to ask for help. And sometimes people are so shy of asking for help, they actually miss an opportunity out there of somebody actually wanting to help and making life different for that person. So it's always both ways. It's the leaders sharing information, it's the team members sharing information. It has to be synchronized. It should be together. It can't be a one-way street. None of this can be a one-way street. Intentionally build relationships. Now, the intentionality of building relationships is important. Building relationships just like that on the fly is one way, which is also good. But it is important to intentionally build relationships. How in this world of pandemic, it becomes more difficult because you're all working from remote, perhaps, hybrid environments. Some of them are working from the campus. Some of them are studying from outside campus, from their homes. How do you connect with each other? There has to be a deliberate process of connecting with each other. It won't happen automatically. You need to reach out to people. You need to reach out to friends, to professors, to other resources, to experts, whoever there is, and you need to do that in a deliberate manner, intentionally. And it has to be something of a life practice. It has to be a practice for life. This is how you develop a network. Your network of well-wishers. That intentionality is important. And that also creates an environment of trust and respect, where you reach out to people, then you don't expect people to reach out to you only. Facilitate whole person growth. Now, in the office environment, work environment, leaders are inquiring about performance. They are talking about how this went, how this work went, when will it get finished, what is the timeline for it, and all that stuff. But it is also important to address an employee from the personal perspective as well, especially now with the pandemic coming, people being pushed into their homes. There is a whole blurring of the world of work and the world of home. More the reason why leaders have to be very sensitive about how they reach out to their employees and take care of their personal issues, including work-life integration, family issues, time for recreation and reflection, health issues, and so on and so forth. We have heard a lot of cases because of this pandemic of psychological problems with people getting into depression and stuff like that, and many other issues which are coming up in terms of harmony at home and all that stuff. It's important for leaders to be sensitive to that. And as I say, leaders have to be sensitive to that. Is the same kind of responsibility, I would say, for a team member as well. The team member should also remember that the leader is also in a similar situation. The leader is also working from home. He is not a Superman, he or she is not a Superman. She may be having her own difficulties, own challenges, and therefore the team member should also be sensitive about that. This creates an environment of trust and respect. Finally, show vulnerability. The leaders need not pretend to know everything, be all-powerful, be omnipotent, omniscient. There is always necessity for leaders to go and ask for new ideas, new thoughts, new way of doing things. And that is a sign of a secure leader, one who engages everyone to reach goals. So this is something which you might be finding interesting. There was a survey done of the most trustworthy individuals in India. I was just going through this research, and very interesting. As you can see here, it doesn't require any words to explain why these people are most trustworthy. Their life's work, I would say their life's work has made them come to this position. It hasn't happened easily. It hasn't happened just like that in a moment. It's a life's work. So APJ Abdul Kalam, Ratan Tata, Kiran Bedi, Narayan Murthy, A.R. Rahman, Vishwanathan Anand, Manmohan Singh, Sachin Tendulkar, R.K. Lakshman, Dr. Amartya Sen, Azim Premji, and Madhavan Nair of ISRO. These are the people who have been voted the most trustworthy people in this order. And when you reflect upon these personalities, I think there will be a lot more to learn than what I could tell you. Finally, just as I spoke to you about companies globally, the most trustworthy companies globally, there is also a survey done for the most trusted companies in India. Tata Group came up high in ranking, very high in the ranking. No, and others were nowhere near the Tata Group, nowhere near. So Tata Group garnered more than 61% of votes, 61%. The rest of them were like 10%, 11%. That was the gap, and it has been consistent over the years. So Tata Group, Aditya Birla Group, Reliance Industries came up very recently, high up the ladder. They climbed up the ladder very recently. Bajaj Group of Rahul Bajaj, Infosys, L&T, HDFC, TVS. These are the companies which figured amongst the most trusted companies in India. Again, it is a matter of reflection as to how these companies have earned their positions. And this also is a reflection of the fact that how employer brand gets affected when you have such a reputation of trust and respect from these companies. People would want to work in these companies, even if for a little lower salary, they would still want to work in these companies. And that's the magic of trust and respect. And by the way, when you join such companies, you are also expected to exhibit the same values as these companies exhibit. It's important to become better versions of yourself. Finally, last slide. Takeaways. I mentioned to you that the starting point of building trust and respect is to build your own technical capabilities and gain technical experience. Create technical credibility that people will respect and trust. That's the starting point. If you don't have technical capability, if you are not good at your work, good in your studies, good in your subject matter, it's very difficult to gain trust and respect. So do that. That's very important. Develop the ability to remain calm. Develop your self-confidence and be self-assured. Develop your emotional intelligence. Observe your own behavior. Are you being genuinely empathetic, respectful of all the people around you, young and old, rich and poor? Remain humble at all times. And that is a sucking process. Humility sucks good energy. Observe your biases. Are you discriminating due to gender or region or religion or race or culture? Are you overrating your own opinion or expertise? These are biases. These are unconscious biases, and we must be very, very cognizant of such biases that play out and get over them. Be honest in taking credit or hogging the limelight. And I'm just reminded of MS Dhoni, the popular cricket captain that India has had earlier. He had a remarkable ability that whenever there would be a match won or a cup won and there is a group photo, you won't find him in the frame. He's somewhere. He's in the back row. He's not there also. That is the kind of self-effacing leadership which is very, very important to create trust and respect. Compliment others for their good work openly. Generate team spirit and cooperation, encourage transparent communication, and foster accountability. Complimenting others generates respect and trust for yourself. Walk the talk. Honor your commitments, even the smallest one. I spoke about the time management part, but there's so many other things that you commit to, and you need to follow through on those commitments. Be authentic and genuine in all that you are doing. Very important. Do it from your heart. It is very, very easy for people to know that you are pretending or you are not pretending, that you are being honest or not being honest. It's not difficult for people to decipher that. Trust yourself and trust others. Respect yourself and respect others. Unless it starts with you, it does not generate outwards into the world outside. Thank you.
Yeah, I request Shanika. Shanika, pronounce the vote of thanks. Shanika.
Sir, just 1 second. I'm connecting the internet.
Meantime, I would like to just request anyone from this particular group, students especially, would like to ask any question to our guest related to this particular topic. Any question?
Sir, I have a question for Mr. Ganguly. Hi, sir. This is Dr. Parameshwaran.
Hi.
It was a fantastic session, sir. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for a beautiful session.
Thank you.
Sir, in this distance leadership mode, there is one concept was telling that over communication is needed from the leaders to their employees if you are working from remote locations, which means to say work from home concept. But don't you feel that over communication, in sense they are telling that there is a frequent reminders? That is also some articles published like that. That is one of the tactics we need to do that. But how do you see this, sir? Actually, this one I need your insights on that.
Over anything is bad. So over communication does not, compensate for lack of empathy and lack of connection. So you can communicate, but as long as the communication is sincere, as long as the communication is relevant, and as long as the communication is useful for the person, this is all fine. Just to have a flood of communication does not compensate for empathy, does not compensate for connection. It's important to understand that. So the quality of communication, the content of communication always remains important.
Yeah, but one of the statistics also, sorry, sir, one of the question, 40% of the Barclays companies managers, they felt that they do not have the trust in their employees when they work from home. So is it because of the US work culture like that, or how do you see this, sir?
Look, there are human nature. I'm sorry to get into my coaching. So human nature is very strange. The strangeness is in the fact that we trust without logic sometimes, and we distrust without logic. Now, unfamiliar situation does not exude more trust. Unfamiliar situation creates more distrust. So here you have leaders who are suddenly grappling with team members working from remote. Very unfamiliar situation. So what they will do, they will have the instinct of distrusting without any valid reason. But in my view, there's a great opportunity to show my ability to trust my team members. And the team members are following you very, very closely. They're seeing your reaction. Oh, okay, yesterday I was in the office, now I'm at home. How is my leader reacting to it? Is he trusting me or is he distrusting me? It's very clear. People are very clever. They can understand whether the leader is coming from a point of trust or distrust. Now, here is for the leader to be firm and have that self-confidence that, yes, I will continue to trust because there is no reason for me to distrust. Nothing has happened. No data, no information, no parameter which tells me to distrust this person. So first, I need to get off the block with trust, not with distrust.
Oh, that's fantastic, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, with your due permission, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
First of all, let me thank you, sir, for such a wonderful concepts, or maybe all the discussion you had. They were literally we were enlightened with that, and I hope and I wish all of us have learned a lot of things. Now, sir, especially during the last 1.5 year, the COVID pandemic time, when we look at the leaders, I'm talking in general, actually, not specific to any organization. There have been instances where the leaders had to take very rough decisions, or very hard decisions in terms of for making the survival of the organization, fine, in large. Now, that's my personal experience, that the trust on the leaders sometimes also comforts that how comfortable or how happy you are with the organization, fine. Now, in this very disbalanced situation, sir, how do you, or what strategy you suggest for the leaders to still continue or to still sustain the trust which they might have built up in decades, and maybe they might have lost within a very because of, say, this situational stage where we are right now, sir? So how do you suggest the leaders actually?
You are referring to losing jobs?
Any kind of decisions, sir, which leaders might have taken, maybe pay cut, maybe asking people to leave overnight, don't come from tomorrow, I cannot afford you. Now, all the trust which they might have built up in last many years with the association with the organization might have been taken within a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, I must say. Let me give you multiple perspectives to it, and people don't look at multiple perspectives to it. The leader who is conveying the bad news to the team member is also going through stress. He is at no less stress in conveying that bad news to not one person, to maybe multiple people. So this is something one has to remember. The second thing is that how you convey this to the team member, that is important. Are you conveying this with respect? Are you conveying this with empathy, or you are just doing a tick in the box that my management has told me to convey this to you, I'm doing this in 2 sentences, thank you very much, bye-bye. That's not the way. The way is to spend time with this person, to explain the company situation to this person, and then making sure that this person is helped in getting another job, at least making an attempt. And I'm telling you, this is not theoretical. I remember that the airline industry recently, before the pandemic, had gone through a terrible time. Several airlines went through a terrible time. Before that, I have also seen the telecommunication industry going through a terrible time. A lot of people lost jobs. Pandemic is not the only one. We have had many such situations before. Now, I had seen how management in different companies behaved in those situations. Some companies, just did the job the way they were supposed to do without much human touch. Some companies did a fantastic job. I remember a particular, I was in charge of HR in GMR. So I remember a particular person, an HR head from a very large company, calling me up repeatedly and saying that, can you do some placement of my people? And we actually accommodated quite a few people in GMR at that time. And he was doing it to many companies. He was ensuring that people did not leave without some helping hand to them. So there are ways of doing it. We cannot escape from the hard reality of business. We can't just say that, oh, this is something which is inevitable and I need to, and people just need to leave. This is one way. The other way, the other aspect of it is that there could be many ways of handling such excess manpower, and companies have done that. Sometimes companies have actually reduced the salaries of almost everybody so that people can stay, they did not leave. In some cases, the increments have been stopped for a few years so that people can stay and don't have to throw them out. And we have the example, of, and it's not something which is very, very alien to our experience. There was one airline in the US which stood out amongst all airlines in the US after 9/11. 9/11 grounded all the airlines across the world, especially in the US, overnight, all the airlines, all the airplanes were grounded. And they didn't know when they would come back. And most of the airlines decided to let go of their people, except one, which was Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines told their people immediately that though we are grounded, you are not going to lose your jobs, you're going to stay on. And what happened? When the airlines came back into the sky, Southwest took the entire market share. And even today, Southwest Airlines is the most profitable airline in the US with the highest market share. That's leadership.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your answer, sir.
So thank you very much, sir. Okay, because of the paucity of time, we are not going to take any more question, but I have one question in my mind. Okay, I want to know your opinion. Okay, which is the important, whether to build a trust in upward direction or the downward direction in organizational hierarchy?
Could you explain what is upward direction, what is downward direction?
Means towards your boss or towards your employees, sir? Or those who are there in down the line?
I don't know whether I'll be able to make myself intelligible. I feel that a company, an organization is a community. We have created in our own minds, we have created this paradigm of up and down, north and south. It is in our minds, but actually physically, if you look at an organization, it's a community. And in that community, there is no up and down. We have only created this paradigm in our minds. And of course, leaders have behaved that way. We have created organization charts where the CEO is at the top of the chart and rest of the people at the bottom. But these are all like latitude and longitude. They don't exist physically, right? They're all in our minds. So, okay, let me come back to your question. Maybe you're not very happy with my answer, but let me try to answer your question. My view is that leaders, as they move up the ladder, become more accountable by virtue of their position of power to have more accountability to generate respect and trust in the organization. That does not take away from the responsibility of the team members to also generate respect and trust. It cannot be, a clap, it needs two hands. If you have team members who are not collaborating with the leader, who are not cooperating with the leader, it's impossible for the leader to do anything. So it's a two-way street, but to answer your question, the leader is the person who has to take the initiative. For sure, it's the leader who has to take the initiative.
Thank you so much, sir. So Shanika, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. A graceful and warm evening to our director, Father Josie P. George, our academic coordinator, Father Arun Anthony, the head of the department, Dr. Sumitra Binu, program coordinator of BBA Business Analytics, Dr. Parameshwara S., faculty members, our guest speaker, Mr. Aniruddha, Ganguly, and all my fellow participants. It's an honor to address a word of thanks on such a delightful occasion. I, Shanika Pransa from BBA B Business Analytics, on behalf of Christ deemed to be University Lavasa, would like to extend my hearty word of thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Aniruddha Ganguly. He spared his time from his busy schedule to enlighten us with his opinions. No event can be successful without people who dedicate their resources and their time to ensure everything is faultless. I mention my deepest sense of appreciation to our director and academic coordinator for their guidance and constant support. I place on record my hearty thanks to our head of department and faculty coordinators, because of who this guest talk was possible. I also extend thanks to all the faculty members for their support. I specifically thank the people who have been the backbone of this event, our technical arrangement team, academic office staff, and CDL for their support and assistance with this guest talk. I would once again like to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Aniruddha Ganguly, for sharing with us some of the finest hands on building trust and respect. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for showing interest and supporting this program. Thank you and have a memorable evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So there is a feedback form circulated on this particular chat box. I request all the people to just fill that particular form. It will also be circulated on our WhatsApp groups.
Sanjeev sir, Parameshwaran sir, Rohit sir, Atishay and Ashik sir. Ashik I believe is not there, right?
Ma'am, I'm